Remember I did that segment when this kind of first came out with Dave Chappelle in the art of not giving an F. And he embodies that. And he's basically become uncancelable. See, the reason why a lot of cancellation, and it doesn't matter what political spectrum the side of the political spectrum you are, they're going to come for you. You guys do understand that. Definitely if you have a name, if you have a name for yourself, they're coming for you, okay, at some point in time. But you have one or two options there. You can sit there and play the apology tour role and saying you're sorry, I was misinformed, and doing all of this shit, even if they dig up shit from 15 years ago. Or you can say, go fuck yourself. If you do the latter, the more people that do the latter, the more they're stripped of their power, because a lot of this is based on, it's a coercive tactic, right? To get you to do what this mob of people want you to do. And sometimes they're coming for your jobs. Most oftentimes they're coming for your jobs. And what happens is you give them power, right? You empower them when you give in to their silly little demands because you want to maintain in the spot that you're in. Now, it's easier said than done because you got a kind of target on your back and you're going to be attacked, slandered, and all of that in the event that you stand your ground. But that's the important thing that you must do if you are, or from a cultural standpoint, we're to get on the other side of this. Variety covered this, and this is awesome. Dave Chappelle willing to discuss the closure with trans community, but says he's not bending to anybody's demands. Dave Chappelle has spoken about the controversy over his Netflix special and a new stand-up, saying that he is willing to meet with the transgender Netflix employees or other members of the trans community, but he won't bend to anybody's demands. And he said, I said what I said. He said, and before we keep reading, I know they plugged the Twitter video they did. Listen to what he had to say here. Actually, this is on his Instagram.
It's been said in the press that I was invited to speak to the transgender employees at Netflix, and I refuse. That is not true. If they had invited me, I would have accepted it, although I am confused about what we are speaking about. I said what I said, and boy, I heard what you said. My God, how could I not? You said you want a safe working environment at Netflix. Well, it seems like I'm the only one that can't go to the office anymore.
That's interesting, but it's real talk.
I want everyone in this audience to know that even though the media frames this, that it's me versus that community, that is not what it is. Do not blame the LGBTQ community for any of this shit. This has nothing to do with them. It's about corporate interests and what I can say and what I cannot say.
Again, like you're seeing like this crowd be so enthusiastic about what it is that he's saying, and it's not like he's saying anything particularly profound, right? He's not saying anything particularly profound at all. He's saying basically what is the reality, and what it is more of a breath of fresh air, because we're so accustomed to, and this is the sad part of it all, you're accustomed to people that are in positions like Dave, where they're these notables, considered some one of the greatest of all time in terms of what he does and being a public figure and being a comedian. That's all that's happening right now, is that he's just saying, instead of what you typically get, which is, oh my God, I'm sorry, I offended you, I cave into these demands in terms of what all these guys want, he's just saying nah. And so what people are cheering on, it's not necessarily about him. It's more about what he's representing at this given moment. And this is why everybody is so like amped up about this, because it's refreshing. It is generally, and it's sad that has to be the case, right? Where it is refreshing for someone to simply say, okay, I made some jokes, get over it. That's sad. That's pathetic.
For the record, and I need you to know this, everyone I know from that community has been nothing but loving and supporting. so I don't know what all this nonsense is about. In summer 2020, when the whole world shut down, I was outside doing shows. My neighbor had a cornfield, and he let me throw shows there, and people came from all over the country. Some people came from around the world to see those shows. The best comedians on earth came to my home and broke bread with me, and we lived our lives. We found a way to keep moving forward.
Sad that the COVID's caused people to have to do shit like that because they can't do their job.
I made a whole documentary about it. The first night of those shows was a piece that some of you might have seen. It was called 846, and it dealt with the murder of George Floyd. This film that I made was invited to every film festival in the United States, and some of those invitations I accepted. And when this controversy came out about the closer, they began disinviting me.
That's how it always works.
Festivals. And now, today, not a film company, not a movie studio, not a film festival, nobody will touch this film. Thank God for Ted Sarandos at Netflix. He's the only one that didn't cancel me yet.
And again, like the reason why this is so important is because like this is the reality for a lot of people that are in these positions, right? So if you wonder why they cave in so often, it's because some people look at that comfort that it is that they have as something that they really cherish and something that they really value, right? They really truly value that. And I've seen this with bands in my genre that have to agree with things that I say, for example, or feel like they have to agree with things that I say in secrecy. You're against this. You're against where the industry is going with these venues requiring vaccinations and stuff, or you have different position on like Black Lives Matter or as an organization or a movement, doesn't even matter, and it kind of veers from what people deem as the acceptable position. So what they end up doing is adopting, even if they don't believe in it, the generic position, because they don't think it's worth putting under question the life that they lead right now. Because that's the type of shit that happens to you. I've dealt with that. My band has dealt with that, right? You don't get what we get, where you have you're the number one alternative new artist. Check the sound scans when we released that album. We were the number one alternative new artist. We had the number 2 Heat Seeker album on Billboard, bro. Our album was an incredible success. Our album release was an incredible success. Yet, and still, we were undermined by people in our own genre. Why do you think that is? Oh, well, we didn't have the acceptable position. I told you about this major festival that we missed out on because this major festival, who I will not name, that's no longer around, they worked with Planned Parenthood. And he found out my positions because it was on my Wikipedia at the time, which I don't even think my Wikipedia is even a thing anymore, about my position on Planned Parenthood and obviously that it shouldn't be fucking funded by the state, which is by the taxpayer. That motherfucker didn't want us on that tour/festival because of my position there. That's the type of stuff that you deal with, man. That's a reality that a lot of us that definitely are in entertainment have to deal with. Any event that you go up against these mobs of weirdos and their acceptable positions, right? You are going to be ostracized. You are going to lose out on opportunities. If my band did what we're fucking you're in the age of signaling, right? I'm in a black fronted metal fucking band. We'd be out there everywhere during, like, for example, last year. Remember that that post that went around that was showing all these because everybody's signaling after the George Floyd thing. And you remember that post that went around, right? and it was saying that, hey, here's all the black fronted metal bands, and obviously it got to me. There was no commotion on basically any part of that post. These guys are awesome. But basically, it's showing everybody from Frontman to Seven Dust, even my old band and Fire from the Gods. All of that, all of those, it was all good. Everything was fine. Then it got to me, right? Then it got to me. Oh, you can't don't take this guy down. He's not one of us. He's one of those anarcho-capitalists. He does it. That's what you deal with. It was only a problem until they got to me, right? But that's what you deal with. And some people value that comfort. You wonder why some of your favorite artists, who you probably know aren't these deranged sort of mainstream corporate progressives, but they toe that line. It's because they don't want to put that under question, and they can't deal with that. They can't deal with it. They can't fucking deal with it. So they choose not to. But when you stand up for yourself, and you do come into conflict with a mob knowing you've done nothing fucking wrong, that's how they respond. That's how they act. They say, well, we coming for everything it is that you got, and we want you out of there. We want you out. He had all these offers. He had the position, definitely when it came to the George Floyd situation, that kind of matched basically what was the mainstream idea. They loved him for that. He says something else in the closer that shouldn't even be controversial. It only is because reasons. We don't want to be near you. We don't want to touch this film. That's why they don't say shit.
To the transgender community, I am more than willing to give you an audience, but you will not summon me. I am not bending to anybody's demands.
I love that. I absolutely fucking love that. If more people were artists in this entertainment sector and they had the nuts to say what he just said, which is a simple statement, I'll link up with you. You want to chat about it. But what I'm not going to do, you can't summon me. You can't pull me out from wherever I'm at and whatever I'm doing to where I must stop to accommodate you. That's not how this shit works. If more people did that, we'd be this cancellation, all this bullshit wouldn't even be a fucking thing. The reason why it's been given power is because people have given it power because they concede. And because they don't want to come under this. This is why you got all these musicians who do anti-authoritarian music, right? And it's only when it's convenient, right? When they had to come in conflict with Obama, they didn't say shit, right? Now Joe Biden's back in office, they not saying shit, right? In fact, they're still the MAGA hat wearing, whatever. But when it comes into conflict with their own individual interests, because that's not a popular position to have in their position, they can't do that shit because they chicken shit.
And if you want to meet with me, I'd be more than willing to, but I have some conditions. First of all, you cannot come if you have not watched my special from beginning to end.
This is the good part, and we'll end it here. We won't watch the entire thing.
You must come to a place of my choosing and a time of my choosing. And thirdly, you must admit that Hannah Gadsby is not funny.
Look, that's the art of not giving a fuck. Right there, that's what Dave Chappelle, and this is why you have people that support him that are, even ideologically, they're not the same. They transcend even what we deem as the political spectrum. But the reason why I think it's so important to highlight this is because what people are feeling, it's one thing to sit there and be like, okay, I'm not with it. It's another to put, they say, like I say all the time, well, you kind of your words and your balls, you know what I mean? And everybody can say that they would do something until the shit crosses their path, right? And what Dave Chappelle has done is it's not up for dispute. He came in a position because of the closer among other things, and now it's controversial. And he has said, and he's planted his feet and said, you're not canceling me, or you can. But what I won't do in order to prevent said cancellation is bend my knee to you. This is what we need more of. This is what art is about. To every chicken shit musician, comedian, artist, entertainer, actor, actress that's too much of a bitch to actually stand up for what it is, not we believe in, what you generally believe in, because it's not the popular position. You are absolutely part of the fucking problem. Okay? You fraud. You're part of the problem. Again, y'all not helping anybody out by doing that. Okay? Dave Chappelle, and doing what he's doing, and yeah, he's had his successes. He's been there. He's done that. When you get to a certain point, you got fuck you money. It's like, who cares, right? Yeah, it helps when you have that. But we've seen people with fuck you money that have bent the knee constantly, and every time and time again, they've done it. Dave Chappelle, hopefully, out of this comes like a more cultural revolution. You think comedians would have been leading the charge long ago. But it emboldens other people to say, you know what? He's right. Fuck these guys. I know something is wrong, or this is what I believe in, even if it's not about wrong or right. It's just my opinion. I'm going to have it, and you can feel whatever kind of way that you're going to feel about it. I'm going to continue to do what it is that I do. More people do that, the better off we're going to be. So all I got to say at the end of this is big shout out to Dave Chappelle. Hopefully this continues in the way that it does. They'll get over it. And if they don't, that's not his fucking problem. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.